Hey, everybody. We are live. I'm Ariel Serber. I'm here with Adam Holt and Derek Notman, the authors and the creators and of the Rebel Dads community.
There it
And
is.
and Adam's got the book.
The book.
It seems we're having an issue going live on LinkedIn. So let me try that one more time. Okay, I think we're live on LinkedIn now too. So that's good. That's where the audience actually is. And we'll get right into it. So Adam, Derek, whoever wants to start, why don't you give a little bit of a background and an intro of who you are, what your work has been, and then we'll get into it.
Well, Adam's the older brother, so he can go first.
Oh,
Okay.
so cool. Thanks, Ariel, for having us here. No, it's great to talk to, like-minded people who care about what we're talking about these days. And, for those of you that don't know us, I'll speak for myself. I'm like Derek, I'm a recovering financial advisor, been in the space for a bunch of years and started a tech company and, I've been scaling out my best practice asset map for the past 13 or so years. And then Derek and I have been on started a podcast about 5 years ago, which is another crazy venture that we decided to do to help more people talk about what's wrong with our business and what we can do better and how we can fix it personally. And that's called Rethink Financial Advice, as you know, Ariel. And Derek had this idea, which I think he should probably share with you, which is to help dads create community. There you go, little brother.
There we go. Thanks for the handoff, big brother, big bro. Yeah, so Adam and I actually met at a conference virtually 6 years ago-ish.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because we became thick as thieves very quickly. We both had taken our practices or our financial practices virtual, it's pushing 15 years now.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Okay.
We had all these similarities. We're both dads. Our kids are 4 days apart in age, and had similar upbringings as far as like family dynamics go and whatnot. And anyways, we're hacking along, doing our thing, and then eventually I'm like, this whole being a dad thing is tough, and being an entrepreneur is tough, and I'd like to find a community of folks that kind of understand the challenges of both and see if we can all help each other. Turns out there wasn't really a community like that. I mean, there's a lot of great ones out there like YPO, EO, Tiger, and so on. But a lot of them I found were really more business focused and even had some income requirements. And I really wanted to focus more on something that was balanced between the personal side of fatherhood and raising children, but also the challenges of being an entrepreneur or even, going up the corporate ladder career-wise. And so we couldn't, there wasn't one. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go create this thing. Maybe there's something here. And initially it was just a bucket list thing. Now I was like, all right, well, who's somebody that people would want to actually go hang out with in a place that would be cool to do it? So like, who's this Derek guy, right? Like, whatever. And I've always admired Richard Branson. I've admired what he did, professionally, but also as a dad, as a family guy. And it's like, well, what the heck? Let's see if we can get a hold of him and let's do an event on his island. And I'll truncate it, for you. But long story short, we got connected with them. They said yes. I risked everything to do it. And Adam was the first guy I called, like, hey, man, like I got this crazy idea. You want to go? And he said, yeah, let's go. And so then that's, fast forward and now look what we've done.
That's amazing. Well, and that's kind of like a miracle of our day and age, like 10, 20, definitely beyond that, you could never get in touch, through, and I know that I know a little bit, I don't know the whole story, but how you actually got in touch and it kind of went viral and all of that, right?
Yeah, it started on LinkedIn. It really did. Yeah. Because I had no connection to him or anyone with him. And I ended up getting connected with one of his old personal assistants. And I pitched her the crazy idea of going to Necker and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, that's a pretty cool idea. Go talk to these people. And then it was go talk to these people. And then as I'm starting to get connected with the inner workings of his team, I also answered one of his questions, or I asked him a question on his Ask Richard column that he does on LinkedIn, and he picked it. And so it all kind of came together at the same time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I think from that, you can definitely take away that you got to really put yourself out there and just kind of, if you don't shoot the shot, you're not going to score, kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that also, I mean, we've all had financial advisory backgrounds here. So I think that's one of the tropes, or one of the most overused comments. Like, if you don't shoot the shot, you're not going to score, you're not going to win. So I think that's, I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg thing, where that attitude comes first, or that attitude comes because of the profession. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's
thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like the half-court shot, right? I mean, people only take them when they're in desperation or they feel like they have nothing to lose. I think Derek basically just proved that you don't have to have those catalysts. You just have to have a desire, right? So sometimes really going for it and saying, why not? As opposed to all the other stuff that we tell us that we can't do it or it'll never happen. And of course, don't get me wrong, there were huge hurdles. How we got this far is kind of beyond me at this point, maybe because we just kept blinders on and didn't say, just kept smiling and saying, okay, well, we'll figure that out. I guess we'll figure that out. And now we've gone back to Necker Island 3 times. We spent a lot of time with Richard and our friends that we brought along with us, that we've made, actually, very many people that we made that believed in the vision of it and said, hey, I want to work on and talk about fatherhood. And I want to not just be great at my business. I want to be equally as great as an intentional dad. And that's really what kind of pushed us, on the island, is and several people know the story about how Richard thought it was really cool that we're gathering with the premise of fatherhood as opposed to the premise of business first. And he said, how are you going to help more dads? And Derek and I took that as a catalyst to say, I guess we need to figure out a way to help more dads, right? Here's a role model that's basically calling us out and saying, hey, Ariel, hi, this is nice. What else you got? And that seemed like too big of a challenge to kind of walk away from and say, yeah, whatever. So I think it's interesting how that has been pushing us. One of the things I think is obvious, we tend to talk about it a lot in role modeling and mentoring as a father and as a parent, is sometimes as entrepreneurs, you don't really have a boss. You don't have someone helping keep you accountable. And so when you get someone like that, who's got clearly, we'll call it aspirational vision behind him, and credibility, saying, hey, what are you going to do? It was an interesting challenge that we both took on. Yeah, no, there's 100% credibility there. And then that accrues to you guys. And then you have to do it and do it right. Like, you can't just be halfway with it. Right. So look, Father's Day is coming up. So you guys have the book coming out. Do you want to talk a little bit about the book, who it's for, what are the insights that you took away from it, and what you are kind of hoping it passes out there?
Well, the book, as we kind of mentioned, came out of, there it is right there. It's a big book, but so I even had my son, there we are. My teenage son looked at it and he even said it was easy to read. Like, it reads, it's easy on the eye. You can go fast, right? So don't be overwhelmed by it. But what Adam and I really arrived at on how to put this book together and something that we thought would be valuable was, so on Necker, we have these masterminds with the dads, and we have these core topics that we talk about. And we end up breaking out into groups of 4 or 5 dads or so for these different topics. And we have these deep dive conversations, and it's all done around just openly sharing, non-judgmental. You're not telling people what to do. You're not, none of that stuff. It's simply, here's what I've learned. Here's what I've struggled with. Here's some successes I've had. Pick and choose what you can learn from that and apply what you think makes the most amount of sense to your own life. And so that's what this book is it's a collection of over 100 dads from around the world on what did they do as a dad, as a business owner? How did they balance both? How are they raising their children? How are they dealing with physical and emotional and mental health? How are they dealing with digital detox and too much screen time? being present, and the list goes on, and simply just sharing what they've learned and done well, done wrong. So now it's really it's motivation and inspiration, but then, and this is really Adam's doing, we also have over 300 action items in the book, things like little micro actions, things that you could go implement today to be a little bit better at something that you're struggling with. And that's ultimately what we want it to be. We want to motivate and inspire, but then help you actually get a little bit better at being a father or business owner, or entrepreneur, or whatever it is.
Okay. So Adam, let me jump on that. So of those 300, I mean, you're not expecting everyone to do all of them. What are a couple that come to mind, or that you took on or haven't been able to take on?
It's kind of funny because, we'll call it, our audience tends to be generally men, probably we'll call it late 30s to, mid 50s generally, that have created some level of kind of stability, and kids are in the mid range and so forth. Those are the ones that tend to deal with all the crazy stress and like, what am I doing? And how do I now balance this? How do I like make sure I'm present, but I'm also, working towards this? And we found that that's kind of the community that needed more help. They're also the same ones that grew up like both of us, in the ADD generation, diagnosed or otherwise, where we're just pulled in 100 directions. And it's attention deficit. That's my reference, if you don't know.
Yes.
We weren't paying attention.
Yeah, it's in the 80s.
But the reason I say that is because we knew we needed to keep these interviews, even though it took Derek and I an hour and a half to do these interviews. We needed to get it down to 2 pages. So how do we get it down to 2 pages in a way that somebody will stay focused, read it, listen, see things that make sense, hear things that kind of, okay, I throw this out, keep this, but then take it to a place where I can kind of choose my own adventure. Remember those books when we were kids? Do you want to slay the dragon? Or do you want to run away? And so we basically compiled 3 things that you could actually do. So one of the things that I've been doing, and we thought it would be helpful also to roll out a companion app, which we actually did roll out just recently, a REBL Dads app, to support these challenges, these 300 some challenges you could elect to do. An example would be something as simple as, now that you read this story, in the next 24 hours, find a way to go to your child and tell them how much you appreciate, respect, and honor something they've done really well, that you would like to promote, that they may not have heard, and just leave it and just do it, and then expect nothing else, and then change the topic or walk away. Just something like just give honor to something you want to celebrate just because. And I did it. I did it with my daughter. I put it in my list of things that I need to do, and I did it. We were in the car one day and I did it. And she was like, wow, Dad, thank you so much. And then I changed the topic, right? So they don't have to be cataclysmic things. Like there's another one that's like, in the next week, look at your calendar and block out an hour that you're going to spend with each of your kids, right? Like do something specific, block it out now, take the time, do it, and just do that. Micro actions, we found, Ariel, are really much more effective for most of us crazy parents than trying to just change the whole planet. Like it just doesn't happen.
Sure. Well, I'm sure you find parallels to that with if looking back on your financial advisory practices. I'm sure it was the same way, right?
Yeah, it's a series of little things, right? You do these little steps and they build upon each other. And that's really what it's all about. It's not like this one massive thing that happens once every 3 years. And there was just a post today about a father who has a large RIA, and he chose to be at a client event meeting on the West Coast instead of his daughter's move-in day to freshman year of college on the East Coast.
Right.
And life doesn't typically happen in those big moments like that, although we do have those. But what about all those other little moments that led up to that, where he decided to do one versus the other,
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's like, as you're saying that, it's like the Cat's in the Cradle is playing in my head, That's it. Right. Where are you going when you're coming home, Dad? I don't know when. Right. So, that's sort of, I guess, your whole mission, it seems to me, is you're creating the space to support one another to make decisions going forward. Is that?
Yeah, it's a brotherhood to help you be a better leader at home and work, and a safe place to do it and to learn from others in the process.
Yeah. You know what's so funny about this? Like, I gotta tell you, so what, the bigger motivation, I think, for both of us and originally Derek was the, this kind of male loneliness thing is not just, between the three of us, right? Potentially, it is actually, it's epidemic. I mean, we're seeing this. We got plenty of research that we did as a result to kind of support the Richard participation that said that not only are men feeling really lonely, certainly after everybody moved into different areas, are now working from home, they don't have the kind of same camaraderie. They don't have those outlets. Thankfully, I mean, actually, there's a lot of reduction of alcohol consumption, and that's also taken away a huge social aspect.
Sure.
And I think you add on top of that this real kind of challenge with, fatherless homes in the United States alone. 18 million homes that have children don't have a father, and you see higher evidence of depression, suicide, prison, teen pregnancy. You see this, and it's not to say that one is a causality, but it just shows that there's a societal opportunity for us to create a conversation about intentional fatherhood, especially as men are trying to figure out what their role is these days. I think there's a lot of reasons why we needed to create this book for our brothers who probably felt, lonelier and probably as ineffective as ever. But granted, in this kind of, new society, that doesn't mean we have to do it alone. I think for those of us that want to build community and be part of a conversation without judgment, that's a big deal, because we didn't want to do another preacher book or another kind of thou shalt do this, and but rather say, hey, let's all just talk about this stuff and get better together.
Yeah, and you're also, I'm sure, seeing a lot of people and look, I'm 47, so when you said 30s to 50s, like I'm right in the middle of that, where it's like, but it's like you're a parent, but you're also sometimes very often helping take care of your own parents.
Amen.
So you're kind of you're in a sandwich. So are you seeing that? Is that coming up in a lot of the conversations you've been having? Is that reflected in the book at all a little bit?
I know that some of my interviews, Derek, were and we split them basically. The ones that are memorable to me are ones that are dealing with not only raising children to have honor for the current generation of parents, right? And finding that relationship, because we all know the kids that are growing up today are growing up in a digital first world. We grew up in an analog first world that kind of attained digital, and it's creating a dichotomy of most of us don't know how to actually manage these things very well. And so we're all learning live, and we're seeing kind of traditional relationships, and we'll call it respect and honor and like, it's just like everything's out in a different way. And so modeling how we treat parents as well is going to be an important aspect for how we're going to be treated. And there are several interviews that I think talked specifically to family infighting and why, brothers and sisters aren't talking, and how the parents are setting the tone and the relationship of how that should work, and what they did specifically about it, or what they were failing at, and how that's relatable. Be like, my brothers don't talk, and and that's actually true. My brothers don't talk. So how can we be better leaders at home means not just for the kids, but what can we try to do intentionally to put things on a better path?
Yeah. Derek, any thoughts?
Ditto. I mean, it's
right on. No, it's right on.
Well said.
It is well said. That's it. It's all about this legacy, and the kids are watching. Like our kids are watching how we're interacting with the older generation or not. They're paying attention.
Yeah, and they take off on that. When you came up with the name Rebel Dads, was that purposely an acronym? And could you say what the acronym is and explain and sort of tell us how you got there?
Yeah, so I still have the yellow pad somewhere. I wrote this, I just kind of scribbled it down one day. But it really was around these four core pieces of what I was trying to help teach or promote through the community. So R used to stand for remote, actually. And through Adam's wisdom, we actually moved it over to responsible. It was all you.
Yeah, that's a layout.
but it was true.
Credit.
It was true. But then entrepreneur, balanced, leader. And so they really just sum up like the mentality, the ideal, the ideas of what we're trying to accomplish through the community about being responsible to ourselves, to our families, to our greater communities, the entrepreneurial mindset. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be a rebel dad, but you can apply the entrepreneurial mindset, obviously, to business, to a career. You can be an intrapreneur. You can apply it to fatherhood and all these other things. It's pretty cool. And there's a lot of that in the book. Balance was actually something, and this was interesting. We talked a lot, even in Devin's interview for the book. Balance is not achievable. It was really more about striving for balance and trying to find harmony, and that it's okay that you don't have to actually be in balance. And then leadership as well. Obviously, I think that speaks for itself. How do I be a better leader at home with my employees, with my colleagues, and so forth? And then dad, clearly, right? So that's it. It's from the very beginning. And there was a slight angle there too, because I knew I was trying to get in front of Richard Branson. And Richard Branson, if you don't know this, but this must be 15, 20 years ago, if not longer, had a TV show called The Rebel Billionaire. And he was like the main guy, right? Just kind of like The Apprentice, but it was his version.
So you reverse engineered to sort of like, because you had sort of your ideal.
Don't reinvent the wheel, right? The guy is a good model of what a rebel dad can be and do. So like, what the heck? Let's run with it.
Yeah, and it also must have appealed to him, and it's definitely probably appealing to the people in the community. That it has such a clear impact, as Adam was talking about the loneliness epidemic, and people are really feeling that.
Yeah,
they really are, and now they have a place to actually talk about it and not be judged.
So what should someone expect when they join this community? Like, what's sort of what happens when someone joins up, and how can someone join up?
Yeah, there's no expectations. That's the wonderful thing. Like, perfect for dads. Like great, another thing on my shoulders to expect it. Yeah, I think it's a fun question because we sometimes an entrepreneur just creates something because they see the vision of it, and then the customers show up that really that need it. Sometimes you're surprised. I think for us, what we are starting to see is people are grabbing the book, especially for Father's Day coming up. It's a fun thing to buy oneself for Father's Day, especially because the book you could read over a year. It's not, you don't have to read it all day one. It's supposed to be by the nightstand. You read a chapter a night. It's 4 or 5 pages, and you decide what you're going to do this week if you're going to do anything. Cool. I think the app, what we're starting to see is people are joining the app where they want to create a community. They want to be part of posts and threads that are not, putting your fatherhood junk on Facebook, no offense to them. Like, I don't need somebody else knowing my personal information. So we created our own protected channel and app because, we recognize what's sacred in a sense. And that's kind of our family stuff. And so we wanted to create our own environment, and we did. And so people are joining that, and they're starting conversations. They're starting to mention, hey, how I'm dealing with this. How are you dealing with that? And then we put a bunch of other content that is kind of unique to people who really want to go deep on it.
Don't overlook the fact for the app, Adam, about we have the 103 dads we interviewed. We have the full interviews in there that you can only see there. So if you like what you read about someone in one of the chapters, now you can get the full conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be
that's a nice bonus. You should definitely mention that. Do it at the top next time.
We forget to be business people when we're talking about.
I know, right? We're just dads.
No, but I think that's part of the appeal and part of what works. Like, you're not over optimizing, everything. You're not going into jargon, especially when we're 3 people in the financial services world. We could do,
oh my gosh, yeah,
so much jargony stuff
it's true.
Between
the tax
RMD from the RIA and the RIA. So you're I think that this is actually a good escape from that. It seems like from my point of view, for you guys to have that sort of outlet, almost like as a creative community kind of thing. It was something you were missing, and now it's obviously something others are missing. So what are you guys looking forward to for Father's Day in your own neck of the woods? And are there any words that you want to say or shout out any specific dads while we're here?
Oh boy.
Yeah, we definitely
we don't have time for all 103.
103.
Well, yeah. No,
well, there were, look, there, you know how it is. There's always some people that step up and just add value beyond their ask, right? Brian McLaughlin has been one of those people who has been such a huge supporter of our events. I don't know if you know Brian, who's the founder of Redtail, and he's just grabbed a hold of this. So he was our go-to technology, connoisseur, and he built so much of our backbone just because she knows that stuff, right? And he did that, and some other individuals like Adam Rossi, who's just been a huge supporter of ours. And I think, gosh, there are so many. It's interesting. We interviewed from a good number of people. Almost half of those 100 were from our nexus of our community, and some in wealth management. So a lot of people will know the names if we drop them. If you're in financial services, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so. There you go. Look at that. Look at that quote there.
Oh, it's really cool that Devin just put that there. I mean,
thanks, Devin. Here, I'll read it because not everyone is seeing it, but thanks for the shout out. This is from Devin Banerjee, who is internal at LinkedIn. Thanks for the shout out. I love thinking about how my work makes me a better dad and how being a dad makes me better at work. That's a really amazing thought. Been reading several stories from the book every night. Thank you, Devin. So I think that's actually a fantastic point, that being a better dad makes you better at work and vice versa. Maybe you can each give, if you have an example in mind, or of how you've seen that expressed through this project and through this community.
You mean being better at work as a result of being more intentional about being a dad?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I think the reason why we called this the subtitle, what 100 Fathers Revealed About Successful Leadership at Home and Work, is because it is an identity question, right? We all think of ourselves as like, I'm a CEO who's a dad, or I'm a dad who's a CEO, right? That the identity, and you can add all kinds of adverbs and so forth on top of that. I think how we see ourselves as a leader in the first place is really, I think, the first key, because when we accept the fact that we are modeling behavior we want to see in others, whether it's our children or our employees or our customers, whatever it might be, or our neighbors, maybe even, we have to model it first. And that's really what leadership is all about. And the acronym that Derek shared, that REBL, that leadership is really modeling behavior. And the first way to affect others is to affect oneself, as Richard tells us, right? Manage your circle kind of first, and then work on your family, et cetera, and then work out. It's a principle in the book. You're going to read about it. I think it's really important for, at least I'll speak for myself. I think I've become much more aware and intentional of a common language that I didn't have before. And now I can call that up and say, okay, am I being intentional about that today? Am I showing up intentionally or haphazardly? Am I creating a safe space for my kid? Yes or no? Am I acting with urgency, or just saying I'll do it mañana? Like, those are things that are affecting both my personal and business world, and it's forcing me to be more intentional. That's for me. How about you, Derek?
I would simply layer on about presence. Are you actually not just physically there, but emotionally, mentally there? Whether you're having a meal with your kid, you're not on your phone, you're not watching TV, you're actually having a conversation, or are you in a meeting with colleagues, employees, a customer? Are you actually present? I think it can be overlooked that we live in this world where people try to multitask all the time. And that is a massive distraction of presence. And people can feel it, and they can feel when you're not present. And then you're just you're not being genuine, and that can lead to all kinds of problems. So that was a big one for me.
Across the board. I know we got to wrap up soon. So what's maybe something something else you're looking forward to, and also where can people find the book and follow you guys and get in touch.
Well, really looking forward to our next gathering on Necker Island, which is this coming January. We do have spots available if there are any dads that want to apply.
Okay, put the links in the comments, please. When we're
we can put them in the post for you, no problem. What's been really cool is that we're getting inquiries from dads we've never met, and we ask them to tell us more like, who are you and things. And it's just been so rewarding just to see the messages about how they want to be better fathers and better leaders. And they're working on, this personal development journey. And it's just so heartwarming to see that. So really looking forward. I think this one's going to be extra special because we're going to have like a book launch party, even though it's after the launch, obviously, but we're going to do that with Richard.
Yeah, this is the book launch party.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it.
Where's our treats?
Some confetti.
Where's the food? I missed lunch today. Bad leadership. Derek's right, and I think if you want to find out more information, the best place to go is rebeldads.com, REBL dads.com, and that has links to Necker and the book and the app and all the things that we've talked about, our newsletter, blogs. So we're trying to build it out an incredibly supportive environment where you can kind of engage with the level you're interested in, and just, no expectations, just grow, pass it on. And we want to create a big campfire where we can share. So that's,
I love that image. I love that sort of metaphor, the campfire. And that's awesome. I love it. I think it's a great point to leave it at. Everyone get in touch, find the book, get it to your dad, be a better dad, be a better leader. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Derek.
Thanks, Ariel.
And thank you, hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Yeah, fun to spend time with you. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.